Hey everybody, this is Betsy Veldman for Papertrey Inc. and I'm here today to show you all of the details on assembling the 3D items in the Petite Places home and garden set. Alright, so there are lots of options with this set as far as assembling the main house or using the front entry portion as a garden shed. So we're going to go over all of those different options in this video today, and I will show you how it all goes together. Okay, so for the main house, you have a few different options. You can assemble the house along with a 3D entryway, as shown here. Or for a little bit quicker option, you can use the flat entry on the 3D house. And that eliminates the need for assembling this extra little portion here. It's just a flat front that will then get added to the front. Or you can use that 3D entry as a garden shed, and there is a different roof option if you're going to go that route. It's just a plain rectangle, and then you just use that front entry portion, and that becomes a little garden shed. And there are even some little tools that you can add to the side of your building. Okay, so let me go over how this all goes together, and hopefully it'll make sense as we go along. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you how to assemble the 3D house with the three-dimensional entryway. Okay, so this is the entryway portion. I already have all the stamping done. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold on all of the score lines. Now the die, as you can see here, the die already has some built-in score lines. They become more prominent if you use the metal shim, which I recommend. I almost always use the metal shim, which is available from Papertrey Inc. as well. And I like to start off by folding those on the score lines kind of forward, because it embosses it from the front side of the paper. It just makes it a little bit easier. I like to take my fingernail and just kind of crack those score lines, and that makes them easier to fold. And of course, the straighter, crisper, nicer folds you have, the better everything is going to go together for you. Okay, so then these little tabs all get folded back, and you can kind of use the stamping as your guide for those little tabs. The white portion should all get folded back, and I like to just use my fingers and kind of give it a little pinch up at that peak. It's a pretty small peak, so you want to try to get it, those tabs folded back as neatly and crisply as you can. And again, I'm just going to give that one a little pinch. And then as far as adhesive, I like to use an 1/8 inch score tape along those side tabs. It just makes for a quick and easy, it's the perfect size to go on those side tabs. And it's just kind of the quick and easy way to close that up. Okay, just like that. And then we're going to add the roof, and I'm going to be adding this to the main house, and so this is the roof die that is going to be used for that. It's a little odd shaped piece, has some tabs here that will get folded back. And I should mention as well, for the stamps for all these different roof options, there is only one roof stamp included in the stamp set, and that's just to kind of a space saver on the stamp set. This roof is large enough that you can use it to stamp on all the different roof options. So rather than including all the different roofs, which would be kind of useless since you can use that one stamp, we decided to save a little room in the set and give you some more options and accessories in this set instead. So I'm just going to fold on these score lines, and then the roof does have a little bit of a curve to it. So I like to take, I'm just using a old paintbrush here. I like to use that just to kind of run along there to give me a little bit of a curve to that roof. Okay, and then we're going to add that, and I like to use liquid adhesive when I adhere the roof. It just gives it a little more flexibility. You can, kind of push it around into place rather than using the double-sided tape, which is pretty much stuck once you stick it down. With the liquid adhesive, I have a little bit of time to kind of move things around and position them. So I'm going to put this roof on. I'm just going to make sure, kind of give a little pinch up here in the peak and hold that just for a little bit to let that glue set. And you can see the tabs here on the back side. That will get attached to the main roof when we get to that part. And then you kind of want to make sure on this back side with this roof that you'll know you have it lined up when the back flaps of that roof are kind of flush with the flat part of the building. Okay, so my glue is dry, and now we're going to move on to assembling the main part of the house. And again, same thing. I'm just going to fold the die cut house, and I have all my stamping done here already, just to make things go a little quicker on the video here. And I'm just going to go ahead and fold on all of those score lines. And again, on these roof tabs, just kind of use the stamping as your guide too, and those tabs fold back pretty easily. And then again, the first step for assembly here is I'm going to put my 1/8 inch score tape on that side tab and close up the side. Make sure I get that lined up. Okay, and then the bottom, you always want to close up the bottom last, just so that you can put your fingers up in there. That will help you get the roof positioned. Before I add my adhesive, I'm going to give my roof, my large roof, a little bit of curve with my handle of my brush. And then there's a score line down the center of that as well. Just fold it on that score line, and I'm going to make sure I have it nice and straight. Okay. And then there's a little notch in the front of the roof. That goes in the front of the house. And when you're adding it, this is the front of the house. You can see where this open space is. That's where either the three-dimensional front porch gets added or the flat front porch. That's that open space. So when you're attaching your roof, just match up this notch. Make sure that is centered with that open space in your stamping. Just kind of will help you line everything up. And again, I like to use liquid adhesive on the roof. Put my finger up inside of there, and again pinching at that peak, and on the other side as well. Just give it a minute and let that glue set. I like to use, I'm using scrappy glue. It's my favorite liquid adhesive. It's really fast drying and it holds really well. So we'll just give that a second. Okay, I think my glue is pretty well set. Now I can go ahead and add my front entry portion. And to do that, I'm going to add some adhesive to these back tabs, and as well to the back side of the little entry. And then we can just adhere that. Make sure that roof kind of fits in that notch of the main roof. And just push those tabs up against the other roof, and you can put your finger inside to kind of push against that from the inside. like that. Super cute. And then once you're all finished, you can go ahead and fold up the bottom flaps and glue those closed as well. Like I mentioned, if you wanted to make assembly a little faster, a little easier, and omit the 3D entryway, there's the flat entry option as well. And to do that, you'll need this die right here in the die collection. And then for the stamps, there is just the individual entry front, and then you will use this little roof as well. Okay, so now I want to show you how to assemble the garden and the trellis. There's actually a little three-dimensional garden that you can add to your scenes with the Petite Places home and garden set. Now I have all the pieces already die cut and stamped on so that I can just show you the assembly. The garden plot is this square die that has 4 slits cut into it. It is this die in the die collection. You can see the little slits that it will cut. And then there are 4 different rows of flowers, and those are these dies right here. And then there are stamps, of course, to coordinate with those as well. And just a little note on those, the blooms that are right above the row of stems, they go together. So these blooms go with these stems, these blooms go with these stems, and so on. So they're kind of paired up like that to kind of help you identify which stems go with which flowers. Alright, so I already have them stamped, and there is a little score line on each of those. You can see on the dies here. That's a little tab that will get folded to the back side. So I'll go ahead and fold those all on their score lines. And again, I like to start from the front and then fold it to the back. Kind of find that little score line with my fingernail is what I have found to be the easiest way. Okay, so then to create our little garden, we're going to take the garden plot, and each one of those rows of flowers gets stuck in one of the slits that's cut in the garden plot. So you can just kind of slip those in there, and they are kind of, I like to go from tallest to shortest. I start with the tallest row of flowers in the back, which is these kind of, what are they, lupins, or maybe they're, I don't know what they are. So we're going to go tallest to shortest, and then the tulips, sunflowers, and then the tulips. And I'm just slipping them all into these little slits. And then the front row is just these little posies or cute little flowers. Alright, then what we can do is we can flip over to the back side, and we're just going to make sure that all of our tabs are kind of folding one direction. This is probably the trickiest part right here, just to get them all going the right direction. But once you get them, they will cooperate. Okay, and then I'm just going to take some adhesive. I use some 1/8 inch score tape, and I'm just going to cover those rows, all of those tabs, with just a couple strips. Okay, and then that will, when you peel the backing off, that's what you can use to just attach it to your base, to your project. So then when we flip it around, we can just go ahead and make sure that they're all standing up properly. And there's our little tiny pop-up garden. Okay, so there is also a garden trellis, and this is, you can use just the front if you're going to do a flat project on a card or a tag, or there is a piece to make it an actual standing dimensional trellis, and that is this piece that looks kind of like a little ladder. There are some score lines for some larger tabs on the bottom, so those just get folded to the back side. And again, I'm just going to use my handle of my brush to give that a nice little curve. It's easier than trying to bend it on your own. And then I'm going to put adhesive on one of those tabs. And I'll just adhere those two together at the base. You could use score tape or liquid adhesive, whichever one you want to use. And it just makes a little trellis. And then you can add the stamped flat portion to the front. And I'll just put a little bit of adhesive, liquid, just kind of along the edge of that. And then this flat part fits just right on the top. Like so. Be cute for a garden wedding scene, or add to the garden with the gardening shed. Here's our little gardening shed. Just a fun little detail. Okay, so thanks for watching. This has been Betsy Veldman for Papertrey Inc. And we've been going over all of this different assembly options for the Petite Places Home and Garden set. These stamps and dies will be available for purchase beginning on January 15, 2016 from the Papertrey Inc. website. Thanks for watching, and we will see you around.